स्वस्तिरस्तु नः स्वस्तिर्मानुषेभ्यः ऊर्ध्वं जिगातु भेषजम् शन्नो अस्तु द्विपदे शं चतुष्पदे ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. So this is the Shanti mantra or prayers for this Purusha Sukta version that we are studying. It is from the Taittiriya Aranyaka. As I was telling you yesterday, that this Purusha Suktam occurs in almost all Vedas, like Rig Veda, which is a very popular version of Purusha Suktam. Then there is what we have been discussing since yesterday. That is in the uh, Taittiriya Aranyak of Krishna Yajurveda. Then there is in Shukla Yajurveda in the Vajasneyi Samhita, there is again another version of this. There is one Samavediya Purusha Suktam also. And also there is a lot of the verses in the Purusha Suktam occur in Shvetashvatar Upanishad as well. So you can see that these uh, amongst the suktas, Purusha Sukta has a great importance. Yesterday we discussed a couple of verses that yes, Purusha means the being. Dwelling in Puri means the town. Uh, the Purusha doesn't here at all mean a male, as sometimes it is understood that Purusha and Stri, Stri means female, and Purusha is male. In this context, and in many other discussions in Vedanta, Purusha only means the one who dwells within, like inside the body you feel I, which is not a body as such. The body keeps on shifting and changing, but the indweller of the body, it is a great concept. And really, our spiritual life begins with this quest, because spirit is, as understood, is different from matter. And uh, therefore, all that is matter that we see, we touch, we, can hear about it, all that is material. That something that transcends it. In the Vedanta discussion, you can study that there is the matter also is of two types. One is the gross matter, and there is the subtle matter. The gross matter is like our this furniture that we are seeing, our bodies that are being seen, other bodies of animals, creatures, whatever. That is the gross matter. And what is subtle matter? What we call feelings, emotions, thoughts. Mm. I tell many times this can be these days understood very well as hardware and software. Uh, both are both are matter, gross and subtle. But then beyond this is the conscious entity. That is not matter. The user of both hardware and software. And then who is that? That is the big question. And that is being described here. It is the spiritual quest. It is here we become human. Otherwise, there is hardly any difference between the animals and humans. They also eat, we also eat. They have the progeny. Human beings have progeny. They have fear. Human beings also have fear. They have birth, growth, death. We human beings also have that. So, where the point of difference is that we feel that there is something like spirit in us, something that dwells within this cage of material things. That is why a beautiful Sanskrit hymn says that, look, these things are common to humans and animals. Ahara, nidra, bhayamaithunam cha samanametad pashubhir naranam. That Pashu, the other animals and human beings, they have these things common that we narrated, ahara, nidra, and we eat, they also eat, nothing to distinguish between human and other animals. In fact, their digestion capacity is much better than human beings. So then they sleep, we sleep. uh, they are scared, we also get scared, rather more than them. So it is uh, also they procreate, human beings procreate. So nothing to distinguish between them on these issues. What makes the difference? It says, Dharmo hi tesham adhiko vishesho. This religion, actually religion in this context, uh, and even Swami Vivekananda uses this word in that sense. uh, Dharma does not mean a bundle of rituals as such, but this search for our true being. Who am I? That is what is the search for Atman. That is why this is called Atma Vidya. So Atma Vidya is the search for the indweller. Who am I? And then we come to a very uh, strange sounding but true conclusion. Many times when we investigate our ideas, what we thought about just breaks, crumbles, and are destroyed because what our expectations were and the truth is are different. Yesterday we saw this, that because our bodies are different, we think that the spirit, the indwelling spirit in each also is different. But no, friends, just as we saw the example that so many different ice cubes, thousands of them, they may have different shapes, but this substance in all of them is same. And so also we can see when we try to find out who am I. Wow! We see that that is everything. It is same in all. It is not that it is one here and another here and another there. No, in all bodies, this self is the same. Like in all ice cubes, the substance is the same. In all animal crackers, the substance is the same, isn't it? Uh, that the shapes are different, so you give the names according to the shape. That this is a lion, and this is a rabbit, and that is a crocodile. But when you see the substance all taste the same, you buy them with by weight. And there it is doesn't matter whether you are buying animal, which animal, it is all same. So exactly like that, the substance in all of us is identical. Not only that, the outer shapes because of which we feel distinctions, they are actually not there. So we saw this beautiful verse yesterday, the beginning verse. Sahasra Shirsha Purusha Sahasraksha Sahasrapat Sabhumim Vishvato Vritva Atyatishtaddashangulam Purusha Evedagam Sarvam Yadbhutam Yacha Bhavyam Utamritatvaseshanaha Yadanenatirohati. That this being, this Purusha, is same everywhere. All the heads are belonging to that one being. It is not separate. That same being is thinking or using this head as well as the head of, say, Mukta sitting there. Uh, Uses the also the head of a cow or a mouse. All are the heads of his. And we saw how we can understand it. Just as there are no two beings, different beings, one seeing from my left eye and my right eye. Are they two? The same person sees you by left eye as well as right eye. And not that two different beings are walking by two different legs. I walk on left leg as well as right leg. Isn't it, Arya? Uh, that same Arya is walking. Look, even the child understands very easily that the same I walk on left leg as well as right leg. Now the sages tell you that go to the next step. All the legs in the world are really used by the same one being. All heads are also used by the same being. All eyes, all hands, the same one being is using them all. We uh, get identified with a particular body and therefore miss this truth and keep on looking, therefore, who am I? So it says it covers the whole universe. Vishvato Vritva. It covers the whole universe. That is why we have the stories, allegorical stories, Puranas, that where you see that Vishnu came in the incarnation of this Vamana, and then just asked to the king Bali that he is performing a big sacrifice, so he is giving everybody whatever is being asked for. And then this little one, little Brahmin came. That is why his name was Vamana, means short. This dwarf Brahmin comes there, and then, well, what do you want? Ask for something. He said, I don't want much, only that much land that I can put that is measurable by 3 steps. And then Bali saw that it is easy to give, although he sensed that there is something problematic. His guru also sensed that there is some problem, so he did not want him to grant it. Anyway, but the story need not be told completely. What happens is, in his first step, he covered the whole uh, earth. In the second step, he covered all the other worlds, heavens, hells, and all that. Nothing was left. And asks Bali, so where should I now take my third step? Bali understood that that is God and felt, being a devotee, he felt blessed that God thus came to destroy my this ego. And so he bowed down and said, "Put your now third step, put it on my head." And then the Bali was uh, pressed down into the netherworlds. But the point is, everything got covered by the three steps. The Yashoda got, suspicion that her this little child Krishna has eaten this dirt, and so hey, you eating dirt? And the Krishna said, "No, no, mom, I have not been eating dirt. I see something sticking here. Open your mouth." He was pretty sure that this little brat is lying. So open your mouth. And when the mouth is open, the whole universe was found in that. So the idea in this story is that this God, or our that God is our true self, and this is a very special feature in our religion, that the God is not just outside. More importantly, that very God is our true self, Atma. He is within us. He is the indweller. This concept is not much discussed in other religions except Hinduism. That when I was once giving a talk on Bhagavad Gita in our Brown University chaplains meeting, and then after my talk, the Catholic chaplain there, he comes forward and says that, Swami, you were again and again mentioning the indwelling God, the indweller God, the indweller. We don't emphasize it that much. I said, well, it is there in the Bible. He said, yes, agreed, it is there. They in Bible you read that the kingdom of heaven is within you. He said, yes, it is there, no doubt, but we don't emphasize it that much. Whereas with Hindus, we lay special emphasis that the God is within you, that God is your very self. And so, God realization, God experience of God is something that can come easy because we already are at that. Just remove the ignorance. So, this hymn further says that this whole universe is included in that Purusha, but Purusha is more than universe. Universe is only one little expression of it. So it says Atyatishta Dashangulam. It has transcended it by, say, the 10 inches. It is a figurative way of saying that God is more than this universe. Therefore, it is not that pantheistic philosophy which says that yes, this whole universe is God. It is this universe is, of course, included in God, but it cannot exhaust God. That is the important thing. That this universe is just one expression of it. So let us read further. That it is that एतावानस्य महिमा अतो जायागंश्च पुरुषः. That etavan means this universe that you see is uh, so much is his greatness. However, the Purusha is greater than this. What all you see, that is his greatness. But that does not become a complete measure of his greatness. Remember that Sri Ramakrishna used to say always, you cannot uh, complete the measure of God. God is this much. No, that goes beyond all your sense of measurement. Not only measurement, but even the sense of measurement uh, is not enough to contain the God or our true self. So he says there, the author of this hymn, that it is Atu Jaya Ganscha Purusha. So gives some details now. Padosya Vishwa Bhutani Tripadasya Divi, that only a part of this has appeared as this whole universe, along with all the different beings that uh, are seen here. All of them is just a partial small part of it is appearing like all this. Tripadasya Divi, the three-fourth of it is beyond, uh, not visible at all to you. You cannot really appreciate that. It is beyond everything. So you can, what you see is only a small part of it. It is a very nice analogy sometimes is given that a very rich man, that it is suppose you can think of these days what is that rich persons are like uh, Bezos. Take one example, Uh, so uh, you may say so that that is his house, very wow. But that is only one small part of his whole wealth. It doesn't cover his whole wealth. Only a small aspect of his wealth is there, that in the house that is being shown. Most of it, we cannot see, we do not know. So it is like that. This the expression, this universe is only in measures only a small part of it. The three-fourth of it is transcendent to this universe. It is transcendent over this appearance. It is these appearances are like that. That if you see the reflection of sun in a pool of water, and now how much of the sun by that reflection, a very very tiny expression of it is that. The real sun is much bigger and much hotter, and there are so many aspects of it that we won't know by seeing that little reflection of it. So, this universe is just one expression of it. Tripadasya Divi. Then, uh, how it says, त्रिपादूर्ध्व उदयित पुरुषः पादोऽस्येहा भवात् पुनः ततो विश्वं व्यक्रामत शासनान शने abhi. Here comes, that we question this, and these sages are telling this, but then a question crops up. What was how he that uh, such infinite being, by what process uh, did that being, that Purusha, got manifested like all this? We want to know the process. Give us the details, and we want a breakup. Once some work needed to be done, so the contractor was called. That, well, give us the quote. So the contractor gave the quote, and then we became, not satisfied with that. That it sounds too much. Give us the breakup, please. That how you came to this quote, how much is the material, what materials you are going to use, what is the material cost, what is the labor cost, what are your overheads that you are charging. Please give us a breakup so that we will understand how you came to this figure. So here, when it is said that this Purusha is the whole universe, and that universe is only, after all, a very small manifestation of it, we feel intrigued. Give us the breakup and show us how that Purusha manifested as all this. Now, in many Vedanta texts, there are the details given about it. But this Sukta, it doesn't give too many details. It gives the hints. Mm. Because this is a very powerful hymn. Uh, it makes you think, and it is meant for again and again repeating it. Millions of people recite this Purusha Suktam every day. So, by repetition, by contemplation, you get the details dawning in your own mind. So this is how you see that it only tells this much, that Tripadurdva Udait Purusha, the Purusha with the three quarters of it, of his being, ascended above. His one quarter here became this world again and again. Again and again means it is subject to creation, sustenance, and dissolution. This universe comes into being, as they say, through some scientific investigations, that there was a big bang long, 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 long ago. There was a big bang. How long ago was it, Vittal? Huh? You don't know? Anybody here knows? I also don't know. How long was that big bang? Hmm? It is uh, it is not possible to tell exactly by anybody. It happened long, long, long ago. The problem about exactly telling the time of it is that the time also began with it. So, how can you tell exactly how many years ago this happened? Nobody can tell it. It is so, but that happened, the creation. And then it went on having different changes, this, that. And then uh, it is going to get dissolved at some point, and it is predicted by the physicists that, well, at some point, the particles are going to keep on collapsing under gravity. It is the conclusion of the Einstein's general theory of relativity, that it will all be dissolved into what is called a singularity. In, because the gravity will make everything collapse. Things will come collapse, and they are going to form what is called black holes. Then, where the gravity is very high, but the collapsing won't stop even there. It will further keep on collapsing, and then there won't be any universe at all. It will dissolve into singularity. Then there are the other thermodynamic theories about it, that the temperature of the universe is just uh, coming. There is always the transfer of heat from the high temperature to low temperature. Isn't it, Juhi? From high temperature, it goes to low temperature. Now, at one point, the temperature of the whole universe will then come to that where now no transfer of energy will be possible because the temperature will be same everywhere, and that is called the thermodynamic death of the universe. So, whatever the the scientific theories they maybe may not be, but the main point is that since it is changing, it is going to be destroyed also someday. Something that comes into being uh, is destroyed. So this is only a little play of it going on. Only the one small part of it is having this play, and the other part is just intact. It is the small part, like somebody uh, makes a bet, a small amount, and the person is a billionaire, but say makes a bet on something and $10. Okay, if you win $10, if I lose, then uh, you get $10. Otherwise, I get $10, and like that, you bet. Uh, so, but how much part of his wealth is put on that bet? Very, very small part. It is for a little game, because we like to play sport. Do you know? Like you don't like playing sports, you know. So people want to, amuse themselves, so they play sport, and then there is a story of this kind of betting where the one fellow who was, a big professor, very highly educated. He was traveling in a train, and in that train there was nobody but he and one farmer, and then nobody else to talk. So he was getting bored. He said to the farmer, "Hey, come on, it's a long journey. So why not we play a game? Simple. You see, I will ask you one question. If you can answer the question, I will give you $10. If you can't answer that, then you give me $10. Same rule applies to you also. That nice game. It is just time pass. You ask something, same rule. And then the farmer said, "Well, you are after all a professor who has so much knowledge. You should give me some handicap concession. I am just a mere farmer." So what is that concession? The farmer said, "Well, if you win, of course, I give you $10. But if you lose or I win, you should give me $20. And the professor readily agreed, and then asked the farmer, "You ask a question." The farmer asked, "What's the name of that creature who has 7 legs, 5 heads, and 18 wings? Name that creature." The professor started scratching head, and after 2, 3 minutes, sorry, I don't know. Uh, Here is the $20. And the farmer said, "Well, I also don't know." He gave him $10 back. So that is also see who is more intelligent. So that is the so God is just playing. The Purusha is playing just the game, with a little bit put there. All other, aspects are far beyond our understanding, our intelligence, and we cannot fathom that. So, but he says that look, uh, therefore, this part comes again and again. This universe appears and disappears. Again, it starts from the fresh. Again, it is gone. Like you start playing, then afterwards you feel okay, that's enough. It is now time to go to bed. Then you next day again start playing. So, similarly, this is going on. So, sa shanan shane abhi. So, and then in that creation, what comes out first? Tasmad virad jayata. Virat means before making the small things, and like you make some rotis or like that, the bread, you first make a big dough, a big, and then from that you make the parts. So first God made this a big universe in which all the other things are staying like parts. Mm. So like you have in big these factories of bread, there would be a huge quantity of dough. One gentleman comes to our center, said he is actually the federal food examiner. So he goes to all such big facilities and says that that is where the all the bread that you get in the grocery stores, it gets manufactured in some of these places. So it's a huge quantity of dough, all made by machines, and yeah. So from that, uh, now Avanti takes a piece of bread and eats. Then, well, that is only a tiny part. It is from that big everything is made. So that is how we are all tiny beings coming from that big, huge. It is called, therefore, that Virat. Virat means big. It is huge. So that is the first thing that comes out. And then Tasmad Virad Jayata Virajo Adhipurushah Sajato Atyarichyata Paschad Bhumi Matho Purah. From that being, the Purusha, uh, was born the Virat, the immense being. Now, this is the procedure is being described, that first the big being came up. Why this description? Because we are curious. And then the description is always given according to the person who is curious, and just to satisfy the curiosity of that person. So, not that it is a complete description, depending on our capability of understanding, it is described. So, therefore, just as we first make a big thing and from that small pieces are made, so this is the first, this big Virat Jayata. Then what happened afterwards? That from this Virat, uh, there the Purusha was involved in this, making this Virat as the substratum. The Purusha or being was now born. Uh, there is earlier there is no taking birth, nothing specific was there. Only Purusha was there. That one being, that alone was there. But then the Purusha made this Virat, and then making this Virat as the substratum. Now the further creations began, that as soon as he was born, he multiplied himself. And now here in many other uh, Hindu scriptures, and this idea is there even in the Bible, that the God alone became this universe. There was no other material from which this can be manufactured. There were no grocery stores or the hardware stores like Home Depot to buy the raw material to make it. It is the God alone made it. And the Upanishads say that, well, the question comes, how could it be possible? Then there is, they showed the one creature who does it, that. What creature makes a lot of, construction without importing anything from outside. It is spider. And the spider, uh, the material required for the web, the spider brings out from itself. So that is how that example is, analogy is given, that's how uh, this whole universe was made by that being. And now that being then went into make the other smaller and bigger parts from that. So it is, later he created this earth and then the bodies of the other beings. So it is like that the creation proceeded. This is just to make our curiosity about how was that made. This is how you can say it was made. Then yat purushena havisha deva yajnamatanvata vasantu asyasidajam grishma idmat sharad havihi. When the all the uh, other secondary beings, they uh, were to be made. Now the God, he thought that, let me have some assistants, let me delegate some of my powers so that the others also would get busy. They are called the demigods, devas. Like we have the description: Indra, Varuna, Agni, and all that. So they were made and they were given their job. Hey, you do this, you do that. All those, they got busy. So it is like, similarly, Bezos thought of having this Amazon.com, and then started hiring many people. First hired certain top level people and told them, now you recruit others, so that the company grows like that. So it is not that the Bezos does everything there. So uh, similarly, that one divine being, he allocated work to these others gods. They are called demigods. They have been given certain powers. Like Brahma is one of the demigods. He has been given the command, okay, you create according to the design. The blueprint was provided to Brahma, and the Brahma started doing the creation. You will see in some other text this details of this, like Srimad Bhagavatam. So in Srimad Bhagavatam, you see some of these nice details. So uh, you find that the Brahma got busy, and then some additional these supports were called. So, and then the time cycle was made. Everything happens in time. So first the time, how to make the time. So it is said that the seasons, Vasanta, Grishma, means like the spring and summer, they using the Purusha as the Havish, that, and this work is called sacrifice. That put, what is this making, the creating means put one thing into another, mix them, and then something comes up from that. It is, yes, picking up things, putting them together, and thus, like you have the house, uh, some work gets involved in it. And what is this work? You get the materials, and now it's only collecting the bricks or the timber, the steel, and so many things, and put a heap of it. That is not a house. It is to be arranged properly, put in the proper order, and so forth. So a lot of work is required in doing it. It is. Uh, Therefore, now these devas got into big work. That is called yajna. Yajna means the work that is to be done in a very methodical way. Very methodical, in huge constructions. See how intricate things have to be. Uh, I was talking to one architect that he is, involved in constructing big hospitals. So it is, in everything there is specialization. In architecture also, the specialization. Some are, he specializes in hospital architecture. So everything has to be planned, that how the power supply would be, how the entry and exit, how all other requirements have to be taken into consideration. They so there is a program. It is that which integrates so many things, like the uh, engineering of the material strength, the structural engineering. It has also the electrical engineering component, mechanical engineering component, the fire engineering component, plumbing component. All of them have to be integrated, because somebody is doing, say, the HVAC, means the heating and cooling system, the duct work, and now suddenly finds that, well, that other plumbing pipe is going there. So that confusion should not be there. Otherwise you have to again break and build, so it will be terrible. So everything has to be properly meticulously arranged. So it is a big work, yajna. In yajna, that everything has to be very meticulously done. So it is said, therefore, that it is, then something has to become the havi, means the oblation poured in the fire. Something has to become fire. So it is said that that tat yat purushena havisha, that when the devas, gods or beings of light, performed a yajna, using the Purusha as the havish for sacrificial material, for that yajna, the Vasanta, the spring, became the Ajya, means the ghee that is poured. That is called Ajya. means that which gets poured into that fire. So then Grishma idma Sharadhavi. So, and the Grishma became the idma, means it is the uh, it served as the idham, means that small fagots of wood which are put there. So they are called that idham. Those priests who do this yajna works, they and even now use these terms. So, and then the place was also taken up. This is all an imagery that how this whole universe gets made. This is a big work, a tremendous, very meticulous construction work. Imagine, a small house requires so much of construction details, so much work, and so many experts, and takes long time. This whole universe, and with the uh, smallest creatures of molecular size, like you have coronavirus, uh, small molecular size, uh, to the huge beings uh, like galaxies. All of them are uh, to be made in there, and everything is so well connected. Everything is interdependent, and that is the beauty of this. It is a cosmos and not a chaos. Means they are all interdependent, so that things keep on moving on that autopilot mode, as it were. So the things keep on happening because it is all well ordered. Imagine, how big this sacrifice, this work went on. So it is told that next idea is about further details of this sacrifice have been described. Uh, those terms are not very much now uh, used. So I will not go into the details of it. It is only to be remembered that that is how, from that one being, all this came about. Hmm. It is in Vedanta, they use the two terms for that. Adhyaropa means how this Purusha, or this being, without any change, that being got transformed into all this. There is no change for that being. Without any change, it all came about. How did it come about? It is called, therefore, adhyasa or vivarta, means just as there is a log of wood lying there, and our nun, and she was driving near that Ridgely Manor, and she thought that it is a bear. In that area there are bears. So and she knew that the bears have the right of way. So she stopped the car, thinking that let the bear move, then I will get my car. And but at that time, the another car came from the other side, and in that light she saw that it is log of wood. So now, how did that log of wood got transformed into bear? Just by knowing the not knowing the log of wood, it became bear. Now it was appearing as bear, and when she was seeing it as bear, she was seeing the tail of the bear, the eyes of the bear, they that something that was sticking white something or it, That's the mouth of the bear. All was being seen. So, a perfect bear, but it was only a log of wood, nothing else there. So, this is that is how the Purusha, the log, did not undergo any change while it was being seen as bear. Hmm. This universe is like that, without any change. That Purusha is just appearing as all this. It is that is the beauty of it. And therefore, that we are that divine being, that God, that part remains intact. Mm. Whatever other transformation that we may be seeing, these are all the transformations, changes seen. Ah, like the transformation on that non existent bear. They would remain the same. In Vedanta, they give so many other examples for that. Most commonly used by Shankaracharya is the rope appearing as snake. Mm. And you get scared by seeing the snake. One asked this question: if this universe was just an appearance, how do we get affected by it? One does not get affected by what is there. One gets affected by our awareness about it, what we take for it. It is what we take for it that affects us, not what is exactly. Like that nun was saying, the bear. So she stopped there. The action was affected by the what she understood it to be. And therefore, there are so many cases when the non-existent snake, because of the scare, that fellow got heart attack. Oh, snake, gone. And so, in fact, it is said that most of the deaths attributed to snake bite, they are not really snake bite. It is the fear, the scare of it creates a heart attack. And so, even a non existent snake can kill you in this way. So, that is how, although this universe is a show, it is not real. We get affected by it because we see it to be real. We see the magic to be real. Is it real? But we see it as real. And we get wonder, we feel wonder about it, but it is all really magic. And there is that famous story of a great magician that he uh, was giving a show in a big place. Think of it like the German town. The magicians, the people had arranged a performance, that a big hall was rented for it. Tickets were sold, and lot of people came for that. The show was to start at 6 p.m. People were crowding that hall since 5:45, and then all hall was full by 6 o'clock. The magician was not coming on the stage. The organizer said, "He will come on, he's there, no problem. The show will start soon." The people, after 15 minutes, started, complaining, started shouting, and that, "What is this? Give our money back now. It is a half an hour is finished. 40 minutes is finished." They started getting so agitated that uh, and at 6:55, the magician appeared there. And he said, why you people, I thought people in Germantown are very civilized, peaceful people. Why are you becoming so terribly agitated and shouting and screaming? It doesn't become you. Why you are doing that? It is absolutely unbelievable. I thought you people are good people. Eh? Why? The program was to start at 6 p.m. Look at your watches. Everybody's watch, they saw it was 6 o'clock. They felt so ashamed. It is 6 o'clock only. Then he further blasted the people. Heard you people, why I came? I don't think I should come here again. And anyway, the program was from 6 to 7. Now it is 7 o'clock. Look at your watches. Again, now it was 7 o'clock. So he said that was the magic show. That it is. Now nothing really had changed. Our understanding changed. We got mesmerized, and thus it happens. This world is like that. Things come and go, and therefore it is said in Purusha Suktam there that thus I will just recite these verses. Uh, सप्तास्यासन् परिधयः त्रिसप्तसमिधः कृताः देवा यज्ञं तन्वानाः अबध्नन् पुरुषं पशुं तं यज्ञं बर्हिषि प्रोक्षन्न पुरुषं जातमग्रतः तेन देवा अयजन्त साध्या ऋषयश्च ये तस्माद् यज्ञात् सर्वभूतः संहृतं पृषदाज्यं पशुगणस्तागंश्चक्रे वायव्यान् आरण्यान् ग्राम्याश्च ये. Only one point that I want to make clear here. Other thing is that out of this, all this creation through this big sacrifice was brought. But what was done in this? That Purusha, all these devas who were given the job of creating, they tied the Purusha himself. You remain, you cannot be put into the sacrifice. Don't interfere. Uh, Now you remain quiet there. They tied the Purusha himself. Therefore, he is as it were covered. Although everything is done by his presence, he there are two beautiful, very poetic points here that he is not dynamically involved in anything. He is not doing anything. Without his doing, everything is just happening. I just imagine, without doing anything, that log of wood was producing all these things. So that is how he is tied. He is not doing anything. Sri Ramakrishna used to give example, he was telling about the Sankhya philosophy, that there is this, the conscious principle, Sankhya speak of Purusha and Prakriti, the dynamic principle. So, people didn't understand. So he said, look, that it is a story of that old time when a big, say, wedding ceremony is happening. So the uh, man, the head of the house, it used to be man those days, head of the house. So it is. But the head of the house wouldn't do anything. He would be just sitting and watching and then saying yes, yes, okay, fine, go ahead, and such things. His wife would be managing everything. She would have a big bunch of keys hanging from her waist, and thus she would be busy. She has no not a moment's respite. She is running about, looking for after this, looking after that, looking after that, is instructing this fellow, that fellow, managing everything with super dynamism. So he asked all those present, don't you see this thing? That this head of the house is just reclining against a nice this cushion, and then maybe smoking a hookah, and just okay, go ahead. Yes, fine. If the wife asks, he would just nod his head. That's it. Nothing more than that. So that is what the Sankhya idea is, that the Purush does not do anything. Is just present. Mm. But the presence is needed. The presence is very much needed, but it is not an active principle. The Prakriti is the active principle. So I don't want to go into much details, but see, you can get an expression of that in one's own life. We say that I do lot of work. Hmm. Who does the work? Our limbs are moving. All our organs, they are moving. The blood circulation is happening. Uh, all this is, the movements of the body. Then there is the movement of the mind. I don't do anything actually. The spirit of the or the self is completely inactive, but its presence is needed. So when you say I am doing, if you critically analyze, you will see it is the body that is doing. It is. I would say that today, in the early morning, I started from Providence and came to here in Maryland. Well, did I come? It is the body which traveled. It is. I am all pervading. The body only is traveling. So therefore, you understand this, that the Purusha doesn't do anything. So, but the presence is there. So, and then all the detailed work going on like that. So, uh, it is described in various ways. I am not going to trouble you about it, because these terms and the ideas are not uh, understandable these days. So let's not burden ourselves with it. We have very little time. But the point is that that is how all creation, as it were, it takes place. It is called adhyaropa. uh, Means it is just imagined, superimposed, like that bear was superimposed on the log of wood. So, on that one being, all this universe with all the intricacies is just superimposed. All the activities are superimposed, coming and going, that is superimposed. Nothing else actually is happening there. So, uh, and then when the knowledge dawns, like that light came from the other side, and that she saw, oh, well, it is log of wood. Now, what happened to that bear? Huh? What, Juhi, what happened to that bear that she was seeing? Huh?
It wasn't there in the first place.
Well, but it was being seen, isn't it? So did the bear run away, and while running away kept a log of wood there? No, it was just superimposition. And when the knowledge dawned, everything was cleared. So when they, in ignorance, as we see all these things, and We are all confused. Therefore, we need to keep on, knowing more and more and more. But we never reach a conclusion. That is why people keep on doing research. Vedanta tells you do the search and not the research. It is you don't get anything that is conclusive. You come to some conclusion after some years. It is said, no, no, that conclusion was not right. It is therefore said by some philosophers of science that science basically can never prove anything. It can disprove, but it cannot prove because it is empirical by nature. So, whatever data you have, based on that data, by some connections between that data, you create a idea, a theory, and tell that this is how the conclusion comes. But then, can you guarantee that in time to come, some other data will never come up uh, to make you discard these conclusions? You can never guarantee that. And therefore, uh, in principle, science does not prove anything. It can disprove something, some of your ideas by giving what is called counter examples, but it can never prove something. So it is when this ignorance about who am I goes away, this whole creation also just disappears. You see that you are all that is. You are bliss itself. You are peace itself. You are love itself. These are the things that we are craving in our life. We want what? We want happiness. Where do we get it? So you are that. It is therefore trying to know yourself, realize yourself. That is the happiness. Mm. Therefore, these great sages, they attain the ultimate happiness. In our times, you can take the example of like Sri Ramakrishna. Although suffering terribly from cancer, for outside people, he was having this terminal cancer and so much of pain. Imagine those days when there were no morphine and such things available. So, but uh, he was never seen miserable. He was always full of bliss. How? Because when you know who you are, you know you are blessed. You are peace itself. When get mixed up with the situations, then there is the peace is gone. But when you see yourself who you are, you understand that, and then there is peace. There is bliss. There is love. Where is the love? In that oneness, there is the love. That's the essential feature of love, oneness. When you see that you are the whole universe, in all the same, you are there. Now the love becomes very spontaneous and natural. Mm. Then that love is not of the nature of demands. That no, if you want me to love you, then you must do this and this and this. No, it is the love of oneness. So this is how it will proceed and bring very tangible results in our life, this knowledge. And this process of removing the superimposition is technically called apavada, adhyaropa apavada. So we we'll conclude here for today's discussion. And tomorrow there is one more class in the morning at 10 o'clock, isn't it? 10 a.m. Yes. So at 10 a.m. we shall take the remaining verses here, very beautiful verses, and we shall try to summarize those and understand the idea in this uh, very, very important and tremendously sublime hymn, Purusha Suktam.